Futures and options on futures trading involve substantial risk and is not a suitable investment for all types of investors. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future results. When I use the word I in this video, it refers to what I teach in my charting course or what I author in my twice daily oral and written updates. Prices shown on charts and quote boards are in real time and take into account all known activity up to this point in time. And if you'd like to read more of this disclaimer, simply hit the pause key on your video player.
Good weekend. Ira Epstein of Linn & Associates with your weekend edition of your metals market update. And this is for Friday, the 29th of June, 2018, about 1:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It's also the last day of the quarter, so we get to see an awful lot that happened for the quarter. Interesting day, how they took the dollar down, the euro up the last day of the quarter. They did get something of a deal done in Europe in terms of what are they going to do with immigrants that are landing on the southern shores. And Italy has refused to let people come in. Well, they've reached part of a deal. I can't say it's fully defined. I've read everything I can about it. It appears they're going to get detention centers. They're trying to get them even built in Africa, but I think Northern Africa is just going to give you full pushback. They don't want the problem. They're going to have to deal with it in Italy. They're going to have to deal with it in Spain, Greece, different areas these people come. But the EU is going to start putting up money for this. It's not just going to be an Italian burden, and they're not going to allow cross-border. What does that mean? It means that if an immigrant comes in, basically they allow him to land in Italy. They allow him to land in Italy. Doesn't mean he's going to get his immigration papers, but he's there. He's not allowed to cross over and go to another country. He's got to stay there. Sort of like what we're doing in our detention centers, and they're building camps like that. Sort of the nationalism that President Trump is making, and they're all doing it. I don't understand why they can do it and he can't. It's very strange. But in any case, gold tried to rally up $2 for the day, silver up 11 cents. Dr. Copper, as we all call it, is still sick. And what Copper's looking at is probably the probability that July 6th, we're putting on 34 billion more of tariffs on China. They're going to counter, and then President Trump's going to hit another 200 billion in tariffs on them. And with any luck, that will end the tariff. We'll see pressure starting to build with U.S. companies saying that they need financial aid. They've got to let workers go. The goods are too much. They can't sell the products. It's already happening in Canada. They countered us with tariffs today, and they put together a $2 billion package for their metal industry. I mean, this is going to get worse before it gets better until everybody talks. The Mexican election is this weekend. A lot depends what happens there. Maybe there's hopes for NAFTA with a new regime that comes in, but remember, the new president doesn't get into office until December. In any case, so in looking at the metals and the dollar was the culprit most of the week. Dollar got hit hard today. When we take a look at the gold, and first we're going to look at a monthly chart, and then we'll go to weekly charts. I think you'd agree with me. This is big-time sideways action. The momentum is down. The market has failed numerous times recently to get up to the upper Bollinger Band and the 100-week average. Each time it's failed. It has not carried through to the downside once it gets under that 18-month moving average to get to the lower Bollinger Band. You got to go back into 2015 to do that. So in looking at a monthly chart, I guess the long-term trader could only say it's coiling for something. What is that something? When you go to a weekly area chart of just closes, you've gone from the most recent high of 1350, 320 down. You're going to finish off today around the 1254 level. Pretty weak, and I think you see about a dollar break in the market, a $100 break in the market. On the weekly bar chart, are we trending? Well, you have a higher high and a lower low. Now, it doesn't take a genius to see that the market's got a downside bias. It's clear it does. It's been under the 18-week average, which gives it that. It's under the 100-week. There's two next targets then. First, the 200-week average of closes, which has stopped the market in previous breaks to it, and the lower Bollinger Band. The Bollinger Band's not in play. Why? You're already under it. So since you're under the Bollinger Band, it's this 1233 level that I put more importance on. When I look at how the market's done with the Bollinger Bands, out of it, and you only stay out of a bands 5% of the time. So you were out of it this week. Last week you finished out at 1267, which was also under the lower Bollinger Band. And the week before you closed at 1274.60, which I think was slightly under it. You've probably got about 3 weeks under it. I give it about a 2% chance then of staying out of the, in other words, staying under the Bollinger Band next week. Why? 5% of the time the market stays above or below the band. That's it. 95% of the time within it. If you go back and you use as a rule of thumb consecutive closes outside of the band, it's hard to get pressed beyond 5. That's all. Doesn't mean it can't happen. I'm giving you the probability there. When I look at momentum on the weekly chart, it's just locked into the downside. So I have a market that's got downside bias, stretched out, really no bull news at this point that the market's got going for it, so we'll see what happens. On the ETF of GDX, the gold miners, lower highs, lower lows. Bearish news, unlike what's been going on in GLD here, which looks just like the futures contract. They're identical. That's why I'm not spending much time on it. It's hanging at that 18-week average, sideways action. The difference here is that the miners have a lot of labor costs that are suddenly going up. So unlike the raw product, this market's not in that free fall there. It's wondering what are these mining stocks going to do. And while it's still got a bearishness to it, it's much more sideways action than you would say in this market or this market. In the silver market, you've gone from the upper Bollinger Band to the lower Bollinger Band. You literally fell apart. Now, the question is, does it get follow-through from that lower band or not? That's going to be the big thing. Last time you went to the lower bands, you lasted there just like this and you snapped back in the market. I'm wondering what happens here. There's no reason to be bullish at this point. It has hit a downside target. That's about all that you can say, and momentum is still pointing down. In the copper market, like the silver market, you've gone in no time at all, just bang, from the upper band to the lower band. And in that break, you went from up here, just give you an idea of the size of this, you went from 331.5, this week's low is 293. That's a monster move in all of 3 weeks. It's a play of a year. And that market now is at a point where it stopped at the Bollinger Band because traders look at these bands and they're wondering, okay, what's the next move? I think there was some short money coming off the table here. Momentum is still pointing down. We know that, and the market is built into a degree, this next tit for tat that's likely, now I can't say it's going to happen, but likely to happen with China. In the palladium market, it's the same thing. Anything that's an industrial metal's in trouble. Lower highs, lower lows, you can see that, and it's pushing on the lower Bollinger Band to go down, still very bearish. Palladium market down $10 for the week, momentum down. Tried its darn best a couple weeks ago to get over and stay over that 18-week average of closes, and now it's just given up. It's not a trend because it's got a higher high and a lower low. In the dollar index, you ran into the resistance at the 9,500 level. Again, it's very close to the 100-day average in the upper Bollinger Band. Momentum is still bullish. This is a pullback today. It is not a trend change. So the market is still very much up on all this. You can see where it's up for the week still, and that's with a down intraday. It was down sharply. So very interesting to see how well it is held up, and as you can see on the daily basis, it is down 75 points just today, yet it's still up for the week. We're doing something new. I know a lot of you have gotten our QT Market Center. Well, our new versions are coming out, and we're going into voice activation with it. Try to imagine you're in your car, and this happens to me all the time. I don't want to reach over for my phone and try to do something. I want this to work for me in a way that I could say, quotes, December gold. And it's going to give me my quotes just like that. I don't even have to hold it. So we've got that. We're giving a new look to a lot of the quote screens. They're going to be bigger numbers so that older guys like me can see them. The news is really going to kick up on it. So the Android version, I believe, is out. I know they put it up on the store the other day, so the question is, when it gets approved to be released. The Apple version is just about there, and that'll go up. It is free for you to try out. We have people that love these. I mean, they're really full of information. They'll do charting for you. And as I said, we've got all these new features of news coming in for you, voice activation coming in. You can just say, play my quote list, and it's going to give you what you need. I find that pretty cool. So how do you get this? Give us a call at 866-973-2077, or you can go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. You'll see our carousel of free offers. Choose the QT Market Center. We'll make certain that you get it. It's a download link. You will need a password and ID. That's why we have to send you an email for it. And of course, you can click up here to get to our home page at any time for you to sign up for all these offerings. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a great day, and I will talk to you all Monday.